Chase Thomas podcast. My nephew needs me to record. See, I already hate it.
All right, hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Chase Thomas podcast from still the aforementioned Chase Thomas, coming to you live from Knoxville, Tennessee, Everything School HQ. Joining me, full house here, Ethan Stone of Saturday Down South is here. New Mike here. Ethan Stone, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. My wonderful wife for our anniversary got me this microphone and the accompanying arm to go with it, move it around a bit. So yeah, it's pretty snazzy. I'm happy with it. Ready to talk some ball, man.
Mrs. Stone, big podcast fan, big fan of the pod, big fan of Ethan on the mic. We love to see it. She's wondered for months. She's like, Ethan goes away for like an hour every Monday night. I don't know what he's been doing, but I don't know. It seems like he's talking a lot. Maybe I'll just give him a mic just to set him up.
I'll look into this. Yeah, we'll see.
Drop what you're doing. Make this your biggest priority as he sips his Dr. Pepper heavy here after 8:30, because caffeine doesn't affect the two other guys on this program, because they can just have what is that? Ryan Schumpert of Rocky Top Insider.
Dr. Pepper.
That's just,
greatest
I don't
beverage
understand.
God's created.
Yep.
God. Would you be able to, if you did a Dr. Pepper like taste test, would you be able to tell the difference between Dr. Pepper, Diet Dr. Pepper, and then like is it Dr. Thunder? Is that the fake one?
There's a Dr. Thunder. Mr. Pibb's a more prevalent fake one.
Is Mr. Pibb still around? I used to drink Mr. Pibb growing up. Is that still?
Yeah, it's still around. Some restaurants. They tell you
Calhoun's, Copper Cellar family of restaurants in Knoxville are all Mr. Pibb. So
be honest, Ryan, do you do a check before like you go to a new spot, and you're like, when some people check menus, as it like, oh, let me check the food dining options before I arrive, just so I can get ahead of get a jump start on what I'm going to order. Ryan's over there like, just before I even commit to going to this new establishment anywhere around Knoxville, Tennessee, it's like the spaghetti policy from Charlie Kelly and Always Sunny. Yeah. He's like, what's your Dr. Pepper policy? Do you have it in your establishment?
No, not to that extent. No, I mean, I would be lying if I said there's not times where like I'm on the fence about what restaurant I want to go to, and then that pushes me in one direction.
That's wild. Who is there one that you just won't go to around Knoxville? You like the food, but they don't have Dr. Pepper, so you're like, no, I'm sorry.
That's the thing. There's nowhere that if I like the food, I won't go because they don't have Dr. Pepper. It's just in a moment where it's like these two things sound equally good to me to eat, it will be a tiebreaker.
Do you think Litton's would have to run it by you if they ever drop Dr. Pepper? Like it'd be one of those situations where they have to run it by the Schumpert family.
I would hope so. I would hope Barry, at the very least, I would hope that Barry Litton would give me a courtesy call to let me know. I hope, I really hope he'd run
to let you know, like to be a part of the backroom discussion. Like you deserve a seat at that backroom table, Ryan Schumpert.
Well, I agree. I would hope so. I would hope I'd be a part of the discussion, but at the very least, I would hope I would at least get a call and if I wasn't part of that discussion, like hey, just a heads up, we wanted to let you know. Not like Rory McIlroy not playing in Memorial and then just not telling Jack Nicklaus about it at any point. Not when, at least the heads up to tell me.
The Magic Johnson, I'm not gonna be here. Great meme, which feels like forever ago. I don't know, when was that? When did Magic do I'm not gonna be here? That's been a while. It might be a decade.
It's been around a while for sure.
No, not a decade. It would have been like 2019-ish, because it was before the Lakers won the finals, but it was after they got LeBron.
Okay.
So
look at ball knower Ryan Schumpert here.
He's exactly right. April of 2019.
Look at that.
What a poll.
Look at that. Who would have thought?
God bless. God bless and good night. I'll see you guys.
Because what we want to talk about here, unfortunately, it's just, I feel bad for all of us. Look, I think what's happening now, and we desperately need to get to the start of the college football season, because we have 19 more days to talk about the disarray that is the Tennessee quarterback receiver combination going into week 3 of fall camp. But you actually have to talk about it. And I just feel bad because Tennessee fans who are watching this right now, we are sorry that this is a big part of the conversation. But unfortunately, it is the leading part of the conversation when we're talking about the offense. Like, there's just no way around the wide receiver discussion. There's no way around guys being in and out. They haven't had all 3 starters for one full day of fall camp. Correct, Ryan Schumpert? That Brazel, Staley, and Mike Matthews have not done a fall camp practice together. correct?
Correct.
So not great here going into week 3. And then, just at a point where we thought we might be dwindling down the quarterback competition, we're actually expanding it to three guys. We're actually getting further away. Can we play 3 quarterbacks in the Syracuse game? Who says no? But in all seriousness, it's just, I don't know. It's something that no Tennessee Vol media member wants to harp on, but it is the reality. We have to talk about this. Is like, that's just where things are. It doesn't mean that's what's going to happen, that the passing game is just going to be a disaster once again in 25, but it's absolutely in play. And it's not ideal that you've had the kind of injury luck here in fall camp once again at receiver, and this quarterback competition not being a situation where Joey came in, got he's ready to go. Like, he's firing all cylinders. It's all great. Like, you don't want to hear pick 6 in the Saturday scrimmage and that it hasn't been a full separation from Joey's QB1. So I don't know. When you think about everything you heard on Saturday, right in Schumpert, and where you're at right now, do you think going into week 3 of fall camp, you would bet on Joey Aguilar being the starting quarterback? Let's say he's named in 2 weeks from today, named the starter against Syracuse. Do you see a scenario based on what you've seen from the other 2 quarterbacks that he's the starter the whole year? And do you also believe that with all the buzz with MacIntyre, that he's actually going to end up passing Merklinger's QB2 going into the season?
Yeah, on the first part, certainly I think that's a scenario where Joey Aguilar's started the whole season. I think that's the best case scenario for Tennessee quarterback at this point. And I think it's a world where he's a little bit of a gamer and he plays better in games than he does in practice. And, Chase, you've been all over it that he lost the quarterback competition in 23 at App State before eventually becoming the guy and having a really nice 2023 season before 24 obviously was not nearly as effective for him over there in Boone. So yeah, I think that's a possibility. I don't know if I would bet on it, but I definitely think that's realistic. I don't know if MacIntyre passes Merklinger by Syracuse as the backup. But I bet by the end of the season he does, is kind of where I'm at on it right now.
Yeah, and we say that the best case scenario is Joey Aguilar starting the whole year, but I still am not sure it's that black or white, Ethan, because if Aguilar, the difference when you had to roll with Milton in 23, that was part of the locker room thing, right? Like, he's the guy who stayed. Like, Joe Milton, regardless of the offensive struggles, even with Nico being a 5-star freshman, it was one of those where Joe put in the work, put in the practice, he stayed. Like, you're not going to make that in-season change. Like, Tennessee was not going to, with the receivers they had in 23, with where they were offensively, like, they were not going to win a national title anyway. So you might as well ride it out, because you're going to go to Nico in 24 anyway. You ride with Joe and see what happens. And it was also that preseason buzz there is a whole heck of a lot of Joe Milton preseason buzz that's been lost to history in terms of dark horse Heisman candidate.
Those exist. Been lost to history, because I'm reminded of it every single offseason when he steps on the field for whatever football team he's on, and I see it all over again.
What did Jerry Jones say about Joe Milton this week? He had some
people just keep falling for it. No, to Ryan's
Rick Butler's
point,
fallen for it 3 times.
Just keep falling.
Oh no. It's just, but it is.
They see him throw a football 75 yards.
Yeah,
and
it is the Arrested Development clip. Does it ever work for those people? No. They somehow delude themselves into thinking that it might, but it might work for us.
And it goes back to, I have a Michigan buddy who was telling me the same thing years ago. It was like, all right.
Well, it's the Jim Harbaugh quote, like the most gifted quarterback he's ever seen, or something like that. It's beautiful. It's the Joe Milton experience when Joe Milton's not playing for your favorite football team is awesome.
Yeah. But on the flip side, this is not a Joe Milton situation. Joey Aguilar is coming in just as a one and done. There's no ties to Joey Aguilar. It's the guy who you essentially did a trade with UCLA for. But again, he was not like this. He didn't come in with a promise. And it's not like one of those situations where we have to acquiesce to Joey Aguilar this year if he's struggling for the course of the full season. If he's struggling by the second half and you believe that it's worthwhile, because you're not winning anything anyway this year. I just don't think the offense in the passing games can be good enough for you to get back to the playoff. It doesn't matter. But I do think if you get to the middle point of this season and Joey is really struggling and it's clear you've dropped a game or two, but he's healthy, you might as like there is value in throwing it out to Merklinger or MacIntyre and seeing what you have in the second half, so you can at least go into the offseason having some idea what their in-game experience is like. If you think that they can still win you some games because like Joey's playing at a point where you're like, all right, I think we can get Merklinger or Aguilar or Merklinger and MacIntyre close to what Aguilar has given us through these first couple of games, then I think there's real value. I think it just depends on the context and how Aguilar is ultimately performing, because if he's not actively helping you win football games in the first half of the year, then it's like by the second half, you're like, all right, I mean, we kind of need to know with Faison coming in. It'd be nice to actually get those reps, first team reps for either MacIntyre or Merklinger, just to see what it looks like for them going into next year. At least have a better idea if we've lost already 2-3 games, whatever. Like, I don't know. I think there's still a lot to be decided. What do you think, Ethan?
Yeah, for sure. And I think I keep going back to this. We haven't truly seen Merklinger or MacIntyre in game. We don't know really what they look like. We saw a little bit at the end of last season in like garbage time or against inferior competition. So we don't really know exactly what their ceilings are, right? And I've been a guy that says that I think I've been saying it for a pretty decent time that I think Aguilar is going to be the guy for the entire season. Yeah. And if it gets to a point where you enter the middle of the year and you're 3-3, then I would agree with you, because what's the point at that point? And can Tennessee at that point, if they're 3-3, they wouldn't have hit their ceiling? What is the point of just throwing Aguilar out there without giving reps to the guys that are behind? I wrote about it a little bit this week about MacIntyre, actually, just because of everything you hear coming out of camp, and you have to kind of go with the context that yes, he's been going against the 2s and the 3s in camp, but it's admittedly, I thought he was just going to be a project this entire time. I didn't think there was any serious consideration being thrown his way. So for the fact that he's still in the competition at all, I think says something serious about his abilities. And if you get to that point, like you say, Chase, where you're not doing too hot with Aguilar, that's where I'd turn, because to me it seems like there's more potential there with MacIntyre. And like I said, to lead this question off, who knows, right? We haven't seen any of these guys play for a Tennessee uniform yet, so there's a lot of unknowns. There's a lot that I feel like will be obviously made clear when this all gets started. But that's the same thing you run into every offseason, right? I like I said, I'm still of the opinion that Aguilar is going to be the dude. I don't think he's going to do much worse than what Nico did last season. So, and I'd also agree with you, Chase, that I don't really think this is a national championship year anyway for Tennessee. I think it's a bridge year. Get to that point, win 8 or 9 games, and just see what happens with Faison and MacIntyre and Merck moving forward.
Well, I think that's where I would add context too, Ethan. I mean, you just kind of hit on it. I think the timing matters a lot because of Faison, especially if you're talking about MacIntyre now and not Merklinger. Mm-hmm. Even though, Merklinger's a redshirt freshman, in actuality, it's not that much different. But I think perceptionally, it's a lot different. If MacIntyre, you go to MacIntyre after the Georgia game, for instance, early in the season, and he's the quarterback the rest of the way, I think at that point, you got to be concerned about getting Faison Brandon to campus and him not going elsewhere. Just because, I don't even think MacIntyre has to play great, but if he's just solid, then obviously that'd be a good thing. There's kind of a middle ground there, I guess I'm trying to say, you don't want to hit. Where MacIntyre, you aren't just sold that MacIntyre is a long-term stud in what you see him do in his true freshman season, but he plays well enough that he would at least be the perceived strong favorite to start in 2026, where I think losing Faison Brandon becomes a really real possibility. So I think that's a balancing act. And I also just think, I don't know, the way I look at the schedule, I would think after Alabama or after Oklahoma would be the time to do it. If you're going to make a move, would make the most sense. Because Mississippi State and Arkansas are 2 big swing games that in theory you should win in early October. And I don't know if you're throwing George MacIntyre in his first ever starts in those games, and that necessarily gives you the best chance to win them.
Well, and I think too, I brought up this on the radio show today. Part of what you have to consider is Heupel might have his hand forced anyway, because we talked about the receivers not being able to stay healthy outside of 2021. So Joe Milton gets hurt in game 2 for Tennessee, and Hendon Hooker doesn't give up the job. He takes over, and the rest is history. Hendon Hooker goes down in the South Carolina game. Joe finishes out the season in the final game there, final 2 if you count the bowl game. So Hendon goes down in 22. In 23 is the lone year where you actually had full health from beginning to end, and that was Joe Milton, who's built like Cam Newton in terms of his size and frame and everything else. So Joe stays healthy for an entire year. But then you look at 24, Nico gets banged up. Like Nico was he left the Mississippi State game after getting his bell rung, and you had Gaston Moore out there for a lot of that game in the second half. So, I mean, it is one of those things where because this offense requires you to run and because he's going to have to put his body in harm's way, like, we don't know. Like, it's one of those situations where that in 4 years of the Heupel era, 3 years, guys have been banged up. 2 years, you've actually lost guys to injury and missed time.
I think that's overblown.
Like, I mean, it's just the
Nico missed
it's just what happened.
Nico missed a half in a drive. We don't even know how much time Joe, and at least I don't remember how much time Joe actually missed. Joe Milton was horrific for 5.5 quarters, and then Hendon Hooker was immediately good. Boom, it's over. Hendon Hooker's your quarterback. Joe could have been back the next game from a health standpoint for all I know and remember. It just wasn't a discussion anymore. So you're talking about a guy who we're not sure how long he was hurt. He lost the job by the end of the quarter that he went down in. And then we have a guy that missed a half in a drive last season at Nico.
Yeah.
Like, you're right. Injuries can happen. It's football. But like this whole, half of the years that Heupel's been here, so the quarterback's gotten hurt. Like, to me, that's a little overblown. I'm not sure that's necessarily reality.
Brian wasn't lying when the text came in about this might be a bullying chase podcast here. I'm already going through it enough with just where things stand with Merklinger right now, Ryan Schumpert, but
I haven't even said Jake Fromm's name until right now.
Jake Fromm?
Yeah. Jake Fromm, who lost like 3 games in college that wasn't against Nick Saban or Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Who Tennessee's redshirt freshman quarterback who never played a meaningful snap of football was going to be the next version of.
I'm still holding out hope. I'm not doing this. I need Merklinger in the game. I'm so far in. I just hate it for him.
Fair.
I hate it for him.
You're so deep into the take at this point.
I become one with the take.
The take is forming him.
But I really do. I hope it all works out. I'm not selling my stock. We're too far in. I'm not selling my Merklinger stock. Not doing it. August 11th.
That's where I was a Merklinger. Like, I'll be the first to say I was a Merklinger guy. I'm selling most of my Merklinger stock, most of my shares.
I bought
because I wasn't so far in that
and it's gone.
Ethan doesn't really buy. Like, Ethan's very cool, calm, and collected. I don't think Ethan's really overly investing in really anybody. Like, I don't know of Ethan being like, I'm all in on player X.
There was a time about probably 2 months ago where I thought Aguilar was going to be a guy. I still think Aguilar is going to be better than expected. I don't think he's going to be a guy. That's the furthest I will go. It's not hot even a little bit, but that's the furthest I will go with my Tennessee quarterback takes.
I am growingly like the pick 6 stuff, and just anyone who watches this tape at App State the last 2 years, like, there are some crazy picks in those games. The fact that I think he might have it cleaned up by the second half of the season. It might be one of those things where he gets gradually more and more comfortable with Heupel's scheme, and that is taken away. But I don't know what the odds are of a Joey Aguilar pick 6 against Georgia that just deflates the entire stadium, where it's just like one of those where I'm going to get dragged to this game. I know I'm going to go. I've been to both Georgia games here, and I'm just going to be escorted out because I'm like, I can't take it. I'm just going to ask my wife to be like, I need you to make up an excuse for us to get out of here. I can't do another second half of this. Can't do it. It's I just don't want to do it because you could just feel it. You could just feel it. Joey Aguilar, KJ Bolden, pick 6 or something. It just that Tennessee may have shown us some early signs of life in that game. We're like, oh, maybe, and it's like 28-7 going into the third quarter, and you're just like, oh, this is not fun. This is the worst. But Ryan got that reference. This is the worst. But I don't know. Hopefully I'm wrong. I would love to be wrong about Joey Aguilar. Joey Aguilar being awesome in this awesome 1-year story would be fantastic for Tennessee. That'd be great.
The deep ball. Hit the deep ball, and a certain portion of fans will love you. That you can do anything else. Don't hit the wide open.
For him too, because he's not being helped here. Because his receivers, he's had no opportunity to build chemistry with his receivers.
It's a great point. It's like it's being completely underrated. Is everyone's talking about QB1? I wrote about this that just came out today. Everyone's talking about QB1. Nobody's talking about the fact that none of the receivers are stepping up whatsoever.
Yeah.
I mean,
Who could have seen this coming?
I could legitimately see tight ends being the savior of this team. And that's wild to say of a Heupel-led Tennessee program.
Yeah, it's just
I'm
it is
with
what
you.
it is. You thought last year was a lot of 12 personnel and a lot of just
gonna be
running down teams' throats. Just wait for 2025. And I just feel bad for Heupel too, because he doesn't want to play this way, right? Like Heupel does not want to win football games this way for another season, and I don't see a path that they're going to be able to win 8 or 9 games by not playing ball control, trio of backs, run it down your throat, and take a couple shots with tight ends, and that's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah, no,
there's just no way around it.
Yep.
Ethan, if Joey starts 12 games, what's your most realistic win total this year for Tennessee? Let's say he starts 12 games.
It's still gonna be 9-3, 8-4. That's been because you
got to go one. I'm not gonna let you off the hook here. Give me the 9-3 or 8-4 right now.
Just because I'm a little lower on Aguilar than I was a month ago, I'll say 8-4. Just because Oklahoma's that's the game, right? You're at Neyland's. Florida's going to be tough. Alabama's going to be tough. Georgia's going to be tough. I feel like it's always been that Oklahoma game. That's the one I circle. I think Tennessee's defense is too good to drop games to Arkansas and Mississippi State and the likes of Kentucky and Vanderbilt. I think Vandy might be probably the toughest next game of that group also, but it's going to be the Oklahoma game. And, like I say, I'm slightly a little lower on Aguilar compared to what I was a month ago. So if he goes out there and he can't, and the passing attack is just absolutely nothing akin to what Oklahoma's was last season, I think Oklahoma will get one back and it'll be a 1-1 series heading into year 3 of Oklahoma in the SEC.
That's a terrible season for Tennessee, by the way, with where they're at. If they lose
with this schedule,
yes.
Yeah.
Like they just lose all the games they should have lost, and then they just lose to Oklahoma in a big home game. Like, what is your feel-good win in that scenario for Tennessee? Like, is there one fun win where you're like, awesome, what a great win for Tennessee this year?
I think the best thing that could happen is MacIntyre is, for whatever reason, amazing, and he takes Tennessee to 9 or 10 wins. Like, I don't think that's going to happen, but that would be the best case scenario in my eyes right now.
Okay.
I think it would be 2023-esque with like a convincing win of Arkansas at home. It's kind of a revenge game.
What's your take here, Ryan? Aguilar, under this circumstances, 12 games, you're for sure no injuries are turned off. He plays 12 games without everything else around him. How many wins do you think Tennessee gets to?
Well, your context, I think I would say 9-3. I think Tennessee's going to go 8-4. That's my prediction. And I wouldn't say I'm closer to 7-5 to 9-3, but the scales are starting to balance. But in this world where injuries are turned off and Joey starts all 12 games, like if they lose to Oklahoma to fall to what, that would be 5-3, I guess, maybe 6-3. I just don't think they're going to stick with Joey in that scenario if Joey's not playing well, which I think would largely have to be the case.
Yeah, because you got New Mexico State after that too, which would be a good game to kind of prepare for. I mean, how do you prepare for Florida? And but still,
he's in game. Like, so in a scenario, like I just think if he's starting, if Tennessee has lost 3 games and the offense has been bad, which I think is going to be the scenario if they've lost 3 games after Oklahoma, I just think they would make a change at quarterback.
Yeah.
So in the scenario where he's playing all 12 games, I think they would have only lost 2 games going into Florida, and then they lose that game and go 9-3.
I'm with you. I am right now. So before you lost Nico, I thought this was a 9-3 team. I thought with Nico, 9-3 was the number I would have picked for Tennessee this year. So a slight under when they were 9.5. Now that it's down to 8.5, post Nico, with where they're at receiver, where they're at with some early offensive line interior questions. Like center is also one of those sneaky things I'm kind of concerned about here. And with the reports that Satterwhite did not have a great showing on Saturday, and Pendleton's banged up, and again has not played center at the FBS level yet. Like that's a concern as to what Tennessee is looking at the center position. I don't know. I am leaning. You're not going to believe this. I am leaning 7-5 right now. I think this is shaping up as just a brutal season all around. Like, when do we see Jermod McCoy? I feel like that one's going to be longer than we're all anticipating. That's just the classic situation there. I think it's a bunch of I talked about this also on the show today, but I'm like you're an Arian Carter injury away from having some real problems in the front seven because he's your leader. Like Keenan Peely is gone. Like you have a bunch of talented youth. Like I'm big on the blue chip guys at linebacker. I'm big on the defensive line too. But you have a bunch of bridge guys on the defensive line. Like you have a bunch of B guys like Josephs, Dominic Bailey, Bryson Neeson, Jackson Moy, great leaders, but B players. Like you don't have a first and second round defensive lineman
Josephs
right
could
now.
be better than a B player.
Who?
Josephs.
Well, I'm just saying in sacks. Like Josephs has to prove it. Like Josephs has to make a big leap.
Sure, but
department.
you're saying he's a B player. Like,
okay, I'll give B plus.
Set in stone with Bailey and Eason, I think, because we've seen it for so many
I would say
years.
Moy too. Like I don't think Moy's gonna be that guy
Sure.
either. But you don't have a first and second round guy. Ultimately, is what I'm saying. None of these guys are going in the first and second round of the 2026 NFL draft. I would say. But you have a bunch of guys behind him that I'm very excited about. Like the Jordan Rosses, the Caleb Herrings, the Marion Dyes, the Tyree Weathersbys, the Isaiah Campbells, Ethan Utleys, David Hobbs, even. Like, could he be this year's Omar Norman Lott? That'd be huge for Tennessee if he can be that in the interior. I just think there's still a weirdness around the Boo Carter situation. Like, who knows week to week how that goes with Boo Carter and how much of a role he has early on. I just don't. Everything about this season, the offseason has been the worst thus far of the Heupel era. It's just been a terrible offseason. And the vibes could not be different with Tennessee baseball and Tennessee men's basketball. And then going to the football side of things where I am gradually selling more and more stock with each passing day in fall camp. Like I think they're still going to be able to run the ball. I think the tight ends are still going to be good. I think the tackles, great call by me here this spring, getting on the Lance Hurd. I've seen a lot of people jumping in the Lance Hurd bucket of late, and I think it doesn't bother me all that much, but as someone who has been a Lance Hurd just supporter for a year now, I don't know if people remember.
2 months now, maybe.
Like, I don't even know if people remember where it was like I made this point of like I don't know if y'all remember Darnell Wright's 2021 was way worse than Lance Hurd's 2024. I think Lance Hurd is right there in a great position to be to bond up draft boards, and I think it's a huge year for him. And he showed some stuff down the stretch. Like Lance Hurd, I would not like everyone's worried about Lance Hurd. I'm like Lance Hurd's gonna be great for Tennessee. Great to see it. Like check that one off. Fantastic work. David Sanders also a plug and play. That's positive. Like
don't clap for Chase.
It was a sarcastic clap. It was a sarcastic clap.
Who would have guessed that the 5-star offensive tackle would have a breakout year in year 3 at a SEC program?
I will give you it was. I think you were early on it.
Yeah, a lot of people are jumping on the Lance Hurd stuff now.
I've been on it for a year. It was one of the more blasphemous things I've ever heard out of your mouth.
Well, it's August 11th. I'll say 9 months.
I'll give you 6 weeks.
No.
I don't think I heard you say that until the calendar hit July. But maybe
this was a spring conversation for me. This was you know what happened? You were just very much lost in the baseball conversation, and you didn't want to hear any football talk. And I was just walking around my neighborhood, passing out Lance Hurd flyers, and you didn't want to hear it. And I was just over here. I'm not selling Lance Hurd stock. Like it's not happening. And you just wanted to talk. Oh, baseball this, baseball that.
Basketball portal.
Yeah, like this is my focus. I don't want to talk about Lance Hurd year 2 at Tennessee. And I'm like, well, I mean, I'm pretty big on Lance Hurd. He's going to come up in the conversation. You're like, all right, I'll believe when I get there. And I was like, classic Ryan and Chase dialogue. But it is what it is.
I respect this bullying from Chase. This is well done because it's good. I have no defense.
He's fighting back.
He could be right. He could have said this in the spring, and I just didn't know. It's possible.
Who's to say? Next up, Ryan. Speaking of baseball, fall baseball season review. Canon Peebles. How did he fare in his last season at Tennessee? What did he get better at? Where did he struggle? What do you remember most about the Canon Peebles era at Tennessee?
Yeah. Well, I think what he got, he was a lot better defensively. And that's not something I'm necessarily always, the best judge of. But people that I talk to that know a whole lot more than me will tell you that he was very, very, a lot better defensively in 2025 than he was in 2024 for Tennessee when he did play. So I give him a lot of credit there. I think I'll go with the negative because I think the negative is what I will remember the most in the end. It's just he just never fulfilled that potential that you thought Tennessee was getting when they landed him out of North Carolina State, where he was an all-freshman ACC contributor. Obviously, 2024 didn't go even anywhere near what we thought. anyone thought it would for him at Tennessee. In 2025, he won the job. And again, it felt like after another really good offseason, he was probably poised for a really big year at the plate, and that just never really came. So I think it'll be a little bit of a maybe not. I don't really necessarily think it was a what if, because I don't think a ton changes. I mean, Tennessee won the national championship in 2024 with him not living up to his potential that year, and in 2025, certainly they could have used him to reach it, but I don't. It didn't feel like a missing piece in a national title team or anything like that to me, or the difference in Tennessee even making Omaha if they were going to have to go through Arkansas. So. Just a guy that it never fully clicked for him offensively, I guess. What I will say on the positive end of what I will remember, and like anybody that ever listens to me talk college baseball knows that I think all stats are not treated equally in college baseball. MLB, it's great, 162 game season, regular season. Your stats largely tell the story of how you were as a player. That's just not the case in college baseball. You play a lot of meaningless games that you should be able to rake up good stats. And Peebles was not necessarily great in those games. And I say that to say he made his home runs. He made his big hits. He made them count. He had a number of Tennessee's big wins in SEC play. He had big moments at the plate where he came through big with clutch home runs. So while that's probably not what I will remember, about him in the end, I will give him a ton of credit there where I think in 2025, he was a more valuable bat than, his final season stats indicated.
Yeah, Peebles, it was a big get at the time. And like you said, it was bizarre because you thought the bat would absolutely translate at Lindsey Nelson. And you thought the defense was going to be the question of whether or not he was going to be able to be an every weekend catcher for Tennessee. Like, was he going to be able to be good enough defensively to be that? And it, like you said, it was just weird because it actually ended up, he got better and better defensively. And Canon Peebles was solid for Tennessee this past year, but he just never put it all together at the plate. I would love to pick his brain on, honestly, it's still really soon here, but I would love to know, like, what was the differences he saw from NC State to Tennessee and what happened to the bat and why it was such a hard adjustment. I'd be really curious to know from his vantage point what he struggled with over 2 years of SEC play and why the bat did not ultimately click at Tennessee, because it is bizarre because he has the talent. Like, you knew he had that talent coming out of NC State, but just for whatever reason, I would love to know why, because that Canon Peebles is up there in terms of biggest head scratchers in the Vitello era for me.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't know either. I think, mentally he was a guy that I think maybe thought the game too much, and got in his own head maybe a little too much. But I don't know. That's just me speculating. I don't want to say that with, any sort of fact. Certainly, he would know a whole lot better than I would.
Next up, Ethan, Vols debut at number 24 in the first AP poll this season. Does that feel about right for Tennessee? Do you think that's too high, too low? And all around Tennessee, what was the biggest surprise to you of who was ranked and who wasn't?
Yeah, I'm going to start with this with an anecdote, actually, because I had to look back to make sure, or not an anecdote, just a fun tidbit. Tennessee has been ranked since September of 2022. I would not have guessed that. I guess I internally knew that, but I don't know. It's impressive, I guess, to see that streak continued.
Yeah.
And I was under the assumption that Tennessee was going to be about right here, Chase. I thought they were going to be 20 to 25. There's a lot of question marks. Obviously, we just kind of talked about that ad nauseum. But ultimately, I still have confidence that this defense is going to be good. That's why I think Tennessee's going to get to 8 wins in the first place. Yeah. Outside of that, I'm not sure what the offense is going to be able to do outside of running the ball. I think the tight ends are good, like you said as well. So I think there's enough good to justify Tennessee being the 10th of 10 SEC teams that are in the AP top 25. And, ultimately, I've kind of started feeling this way, especially lately. This is an SEC, and college football is the SEC and Big Ten. That's just what it is these days. Those are always going to get those are the power conferences right now, and that shows it by there being 16 of the top 25 being from the SEC and the Big Ten. So, I think this is fair. I think Tennessee will break that streak at some point this season, and probably be unranked at some point. But I think compared to everybody else, and with the defense where I think it's slated to be, I think it's fair for them to be around 24. And I think they'll probably end the season unranked, just outside of it.
Can we also say it's pretty crazy that Texas is the first time they've been the preseason number 1 overall? That seems baffling to me that they have never opened the season as number 1 in the country.
Do you agree that they should be number one?
No.
I don't either. I think
no. It should be Penn State. Like
I agree
Penn State,
with you. I think it should be Penn State.
It doesn't mean I think James Franklin's going to get it done, but it should be Penn State. Like if anyone's good, this is your chance. Like Penn State's never going to have a better shot at breaking through in a national title. This is it. Like if you put Penn State's coordinators and roster on Ohio State, on Texas, on Georgia, on Oregon, on Michigan, they're unanimous preseason number one. Nobody just wants to put Penn State and James Franklin number one. And I'm like, what are you looking at? Nick Singleton, Katron Allen, Drew Aller, Trevor Pena, Ross, Hudson, DDE, Harris, the linebacker they pulled from North Carolina. I mean, Jim Knowles, highest paid defensive coordinator in college football history. Like it is Penn State. Like Penn State should win it all this year. I'm not going to pick them to win it all, but it should be Penn State.
They've got the best OC-DC combo. Yep. They have the best running back room. They should still have a good defense. I don't think Drew Aller's the best quarterback in college football, but he's good enough, I think. And he's entering his senior year also, where he showed improvement heading into last year. I can't imagine him not taking even at least a little bit more of a step this year. And like you said, Chase, I think you hit the nail on the head. If it's not going to be this year, you need to just talk about letting James Franklin go. I'm serious. Like if it's not going to happen this year, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen for the Nittany Lions because they are stacked. And if I would be very unhappy if I was a Penn State fan and they do what they've done for the entirety of their history as a college football program this season.
100%. Ryan, do you like 24 or is it too high, too low? That's going to be really sad if they actually do fall out of top 25 this year and in that streak.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's generally right. I would probably have them a couple spots higher, but like Ethan said, I think in the 20 to 25 range. I think it's the issue that I see all the time. It's just like, I don't think there's really 25 legitimately good teams. So see a lot of these teams and I'm like, they're overrated. I don't see a whole lot where I'm like, man, they're underrated. Just looking at it, I was surprised Oklahoma was as high as they were at 18. I think South Carolina at 13 is way too high, frankly. They have a lot of questions on the line of scrimmage. They're just getting their full offseason hype. And South Carolina is such one of those programs that does better when they enter the season with low expectations as compared to high expectations. I did think Alabama was a little low, but I also looked at just looking at the rankings, there's not anyone that I saw 1 to 7 that I'm like, oh, that's crazy that they're ahead of Alabama. I probably would have them ahead of Oregon and Notre Dame, but again, I don't think it's crazy that those teams are ahead of them. So those are kind of my general thoughts. I mean, the Florida thing continues to be, is DJ Lagway actually going to play in September? Like, beats me. I would be surprised if Florida ends the season 15. I would say that. They might be the 15th best team in the country, but with their schedule, with the DJ Lagway situation, I don't think they're going to be a playoff team or even necessarily right on the bubble.
I mean, I think they're a top 10 team if healthy. I just don't think with the schedule and DJ Lagway's health uncertainty, they're going to be able to get where they need to go. But like a 9-3 Florida team should be in the playoff over a lot of 10-2 teams if they can get to 9-3 with that schedule.
But I don't think that's how it's going to work. You're right, but Michigan's another one. Michigan 14. I'm like,
too high.
What?
Michigan is way too high. Yeah.
So
that's like one of those where too much stock was bought into the Alabama and Ohio State win down the stretch. Where like, Michigan's back, and I'm like, I don't know about that. I don't know, Jim. But we'll see.
So what do you think, Chase, on Tennessee 24?
I think it's too low. I think their floor.
You just said they're going 7-5.
No, I'm saying before the season started.
Into this.
I know you did, but I'm going with it because I'm saying before the season, as of right now, they cannot be lower than 20. They have to be. I would put them at like 19. 19 feels right preseason. 19 feels right. But yes, I am leaning more towards 7-5. Ain't nobody like me except me.
I don't even have that is so I don't even have a rebuttal. I can't even.
I'm usually pretty tame on you, Chase, but I don't follow this logic at all. I'm with you.
I am saying you have to give them the preseason respect of being somewhere between 15 and 19. But I'm also anticipating the season going awry and them getting to 7-5. 8-4 ceiling.
So you think they have the potential of the number 19 team in the country?
Yes. No, he said they should give me a respect number 19 team.
Yes, and also respect.
It's crazy.
The power T is worth 19 alone.
100%.
The power of the T.
I'm sorry, I respect the power T. Unlike 2 other members on this program. I respect it.
I think having them ranked, given how they are, is respect as well.
I'm not. I'm not saying I speak big trouble. I don't want to be in big trouble.
Big trouble.
Look, it's been a tough couple weeks. The weekend updates were not great. I didn't want to look. It's been. I mean, anything Ryan Schumpert texts me of late, it's just I don't want to look at my phone. It's not going to be positive.
Give me some good news, man.
Yeah, it's the opposite of the summer of George. It's just it's not good stuff.
I'll tell you the sneaky, because everything's been on the offense. The sneaky, most negative, most worrisome update from the scrimmage is that Josh Josephs didn't play, didn't participate, and none of the edge rushers had a big game. No, there was not a lot of pressure on the quarterback. That was behind the quarterbacks. That was the most worrisome thing I heard about.
It's a huge year for Caleb Herring.
Yeah,
huge year for Caleb Herring, because I just don't it's a make or break here. I don't think you can. I mean, I guess if he wants to come back for one more year, you do it. But you have people behind you that are. I mean, Jordan Ross. You have Christian Gass now coming in. You have dudes, and we'll see if they're able to flip one of Hezekiah Harris or Tristan Gibbons down the stretch too, because they don't really have a true Leo in this class, like a blue chip Leo, I should say, because you have CJ Edwards Leo guy, but they don't actually have a true blue chip guy there. Because Zach Groves, I think when you look at his frame and size, I think he's he's a strong side defensive end, and Joel White does not want to be a Leo, so he doesn't qualify for that either. So yeah, I don't know. There's just a lot of talent in that room, and it's a big year for Caleb Herring. He kind of looks like a souped up Roman Harrison to me, by the way. He looks like a final boss Roman Harrison. Do you see it?
How much of that? Not really. I think you're maybe getting a little too much into the 30 and 31 on that one.
I think it's just the frame and how they win on the edge.
He's a lot taller than Roman Harrison was.
That's what I said. Final boss. I'm not saying he's a 1-for-1 for Roman Harrison. Give me a break, man. It's been rough, man.
I'll give you a break. I'm giving you a break.
Give me a break.
I'm giving you a break the last 10 minutes. How are you calling someone a souped up version of someone when they're 3 inches taller?
That's the definition of souped up. It's a souped up. Final boss.
Is anybody that just plays the same position just souped up?
Do my best. Ethan, feel free to jump in whenever. You're right here in the middle. You could be refereeing here.
Refereeing, I'm going easy.
See, I'm burning
you both up.
Coach's box warning.
Oh my God, it's tough, man. It's tough, and also, it was a bad day all around because Rick changed out the music on the RTI video this morning, and I'm just had my cup of coffee, ready to hop on over and watch my 4 minutes of just euphoria and different royalty-free song. He didn't clear that with me. I don't know what Rick Butler's got up his sleeve, but I mean that's one of those things at this point. You got to clear it with me. I'm not ready for a change. I don't like change, and I didn't like the change. It's not as much of a banger.
It was the straw that broke the camel's back for Chase. That's why.
It's been a tough one.
He can't handle it.
I cannot. Ryan, how big? This is positive. So Vol fans, look, we're gonna go positive here. How big is it that Star Thomas looks like a legitimate option at running back this fall? Because I think it's a sneaky great development. It's sneaky positive, right?
Yeah, I think it just makes the rotation more interesting more than anything.
Yeah.
I think I was always in the camp that he could help them. I just felt maybe he was a more clear number 3. So I think just on the surface, it's not massive because you have Deshaun Bishop and you have Peyton Lewis. I think you're good, but I think it matters a lot in the fact that if Deshaun Bishop struggled to stay healthy, and if one of those guys gets hurt, you're going to need a third guy. And we'll see what Justin Baker and Dwan Morris are long term, but you don't want to, in a year where you're going to have to run the ball really well to be good on offense, you don't want to have to lean on those guys as true freshmen. So I think it's big from that perspective. And we've talked about on the radio show, Chase, on the Rocky Top Insider Press Pass podcast that we recorded on Sunday, we talked kind of at length about how I think that's it's not something we're talking about for good reason because of the other question marks on offense, and they're going to be good at running back. But I think it's going to be really fascinating to see how much they rotate and who emerges there as the top guy. Because I don't know, it's one of those things where it's a different day, and I have a different opinion on it, on who that top guy might be.
I still lean Peyton Lewis, Ethan, but I also just think Star breaking out this way makes you feel better that you have Deshaun Bishop injury insurance. Like, that's my main thing is now you can, because that's what they did last year. It was like 75-25, right, with Dylan Sampson and Deshaun. And I think he would have gotten a little bit more Deshaun if he was able to stay healthy a year ago anyway. But now you have that. I mean, also for Peyton Lewis, like if Peyton Lewis can't stay healthy, you have Star Tom and you feel okay. I still lean towards it's going to be more bell cow than I think people are anticipating, where it's 30-30-30. I don't think you're going to see that like what you saw in 2022, but I think you might see more. Now, I still think it's going to be a two-back thing, is I think where things are headed, and Star Thomas is the next guy ready to go if those guys are banged up, right? That's kind of where I'm leaning.
Yeah, see, it's funny because I really haven't thought about it that much. Exactly to you guys' point, there's just so much else to think and talk about. I mean, I'm a little biased here. I'm going to openly say it. I think Deshaun is the best option in the group. I've also seen the most of Deshaun Bishop, so I just
you went to Carnes, right?
That guy's a ball player. Like I understand the bias. That guy's a ball player, and I think if he can stay healthy, I think he's the best running back in the room. I am intrigued to see what kind of step Peyton Lewis takes as well, just because he didn't really get too much run last season because Dylan Sampson was just such a beast and being so relied on to do everything on offense for Tennessee, especially late, that I feel like he didn't really get his chance to shine necessarily. And I feel like in this room somewhere where he can have more reps and show off more of what he can do, and his top end speed, especially too, if you can work that into space, that would be a major positive. I don't think he quite has the burst that Bishop does, but I think he's faster, and I think getting him in space and letting him kind of do his thing with his balance, I think that's going to be a major positive for Tennessee. I'm just interested to see what he does. Who is going to be the guy that is going to break out and have the Sampson year, because it's got to be one of the three, and I think all three are capable of it as well.
Yeah, I just feel good. I think that three, and then Dwan Morris might be more ready than we think. And you have Dwan Morris as the fourth guy. Mm-hmm. And then Baker just feels like I watched the clip and I was like, that's Jabari Small. Justin Baker, he's locked in to Jabari Small for the next 3 years, which is hugely valuable if he can grow into it.
I didn't have that take, but I did see it and I was like, I'm gonna put a pin on that for 1 to 2 years from now, because that might be something there.
Like, he's gonna get carries at Tennessee over a 4-year span. Like, if he stays for Tennessee and is locked in as a rotation guy, like, Justin Baker is gonna play. Just not this year, I don't think. I think that's probably next year type.
Too many guys ahead of him. I agree.
But then Dwan Morris, huge up. I mean, probably kick returner, right, Ryan? We were expecting Dwan Morris to be there, so he could. If he's good there and he shows some pop and some juice, and you need some more oomph in the backfield because you're banked up there or something, like I would not count out Dwan Morris either out of Oakland. So we shall see on that front. But as we continue on here, and let's put a bow on it here. Ryan, thumbs up or thumbs down? Vol half court issues offensively won't be noticeable this season. I thought this would be fun for both you and Ethan as the Vol hoop heads here. So with the roster that they have right now, 15 deep, what you've seen from Ament, what you've seen and heard from Gillespie, do you think the most common talking point from Tennessee fans while we're watching these games is like, here's another 8-minute just lost in the mud and we're stuck in the mud type deal? The half court offense is just stagnant and struggling. Do you think that narrative disappears with the roster and depth that Barnes has this year?
I don't think the narrative does. I mean, let me flip this to you, Chase. I'll ask your opinion, and then I'll ask what you think the general Tennessee, the general opinion of the fan base is. Did Tennessee have half court offense issues last year?
Yes.
They didn't score in transition, and they had the 17th best offense in the country. So if that's what your narrative is, then I'm sure you're going to feel the same way again this year. Like, they didn't score. They were one of the worst transition teams in the country. I don't think they're going to be great in scoring a transition this year. So yeah, I mean, I just think that's the nature of college basketball. You're going outside of a few very elite offenses, you're going to struggle to score in half court at times. So from that standard, I think they probably will have some struggles. Do I think it's going to be brutal like it has been so many years? Because don't get me wrong, so many years it has been brutal, some of their half court offensive struggles. But I don't think it'll be that. But is it going to be something people talk about on Twitter? I'd be pretty darn shocked if it's not.
Do you agree, Ethan?
Yeah, I do. And I mean, I think there's certainly early in the season, there's a chance for there to be growing pains in that respect, because while Gillespie's very skilled, while Amen is very skilled, And while whoever ends up playing the most minutes at 2, be it Amari Abram or whoever, while they have earned those minutes or will have earned those minutes and will be skilled, there are 3 new people working together, and working with 2 new guys in Cade Phillips and Felix down low as well. So I think there's a chance for there to be some growing pains in that regard, but I think the ceiling is also higher offensively. I don't think there's going to be a huge drop off in production, and facilitating even from Gillespie to Zakai. I think Gillespie's probably a better offensive player than Zakai. I think Ament probably has a higher ceiling than what, say, Chaz did offensively. And so I think once the team just gels into and gets their chemistry together, another guy that's kind of, I wouldn't say flying under the radar, but that is being underrated a little bit is Felix Okpara too. He's apparently taken a massive step, and he's impressing some people as well. So if he can indeed take that step and translate it to, early season tough matchups and in the non-conference against Houston, whoever you want to put in there, and then into SEC play, like if that guy's balling, that's going to make it a lot easier on a lot of other people as well. So I like the ceiling of the offense better, and therefore I like what the half-court offense can be, because I ultimately agree with Ryan. I feel like last season was actually kind of the least rough, for lack of a better term, in that regard. I think Tennessee's offense flowed very well, that really they haven't seen since Jordan Bone and Grant and Admiral.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the best half-court offense to date, Rick Barnes-Terra, potentially. If they're healthy, I think Jacoby Gillespie is just going to be a cheat code in late in games and in the half court, and someone who's going to rise. And Nate Ament, I think, has all potential in the half court to just take over at times. And if you get enough shooting at the 2, as a guy, like whether that's Berg, whether it's Abram, they're just not afraid to take open looks, because I think they're going to get a whole lot of open looks when they're on the court with Ament and Gillespie. If they settle in there in that role, they're going to be really good. I think part of it is I think JP Estrella, we'll see what he looks like in the half court, because I think he is someone who could really help them and unlock a whole lot of stuff in the half court. So that's a big part of it. Okpara, what is his chemistry like with Gillespie on the lobs? Because I still think that's his ultimate thing. And him and Zakai were just so good at their lob threat and just how they were in the pick and roll. Like, are we going to see that same level of chemistry with Gillespie? Who knows? I think that's very possible.
They're going to play the same way.
Yeah. So I think that'll be different. It'll be hard. I mean, it's going to take some time for Okpara to get used to not having Zakai, right? Like, that's going to be it's going to be a very different, very different guy, and getting used to him. 2 elite players, but very different.
I think for it to be the best, I think it probably comes down to some guys in the front court being consistent scorers.
Carey being a guy.
Yeah, Carey or JP or Felix taking a big step. Like, I think that's kind of what has to happen for it to be the best. It can still be good without that. Because, again, I think Gillespie and Ament being as good as they are makes the floor pretty high.
Well, and the reason I also think last year was Chaz is not a guy who is dribbling into his own shot, right? Like, he's just coming off pin downs, he's coming off screens. Like, he still need to be set up so much, and not someone who drives the line. Like, it's just, when Chaz gets hot, it's one of the most fun things to see. Like, he has a beautiful shot and all that. But I think the difference is Nate and Jacoby they theoretically should be able to convert, and they should be able to, how can I explain this? They should be able to do stuff in traffic. I think they should be able to do stuff off the dribble. I think they should be able to do stuff off the catch and shoot. Like, I just feel like they're the most versatile 2-man scoring punch Tennessee has had in a long time under Barnes. And I think in the half court, they should shine there.
There's no player like Zakai and no player like Chaz on this team, I would argue. I think that's the best way of saying what you're saying there is the makeup of this team is just completely different than it was last year, and I think in a good way is what I would say.
I like that take. Also, I missed one, by the way. Ethan, before we get out of here, only 1 breakout defensive lineman this fall. You only can pick 1 to have a breakout year. It's a good bet that one of Rodney's and Coach Chop's guys break out this fall, but you only get 1. Who would be the most important breakout story for Tennessee this year?
Yeah, it's funny you get to that, because you said his name earlier. I think it's Caleb Herring. I think if Caleb Herring has a fantastic season, that's probably the best case. And because this was a tough question to answer, honestly, because also kind of like you alluded to earlier, there's a lot of B guys in this room. There's a lot of guys that it would be great for them to take a step. You can name just about anyone in the room and probably be happy with it. David Hobbs is another one, because someone that's being very underrated as a loss. Everyone's talking about James Pierce. Omar Norman Lott is a massive loss. He had
Yep.
10 sacks the past 2 seasons. Like that's massive. He was second in sacks on the team last year. Big tackle for a loss guy. It was huge in the middle.
He was in on third downs. He was part of the pass rush package.
Exactly. And like you got to replace that dude too. And while I think Bryson Eason and Jackson Moy and I think you can replace that at some point, it's not going to be easy. You got to find that dude first. And I think, like I said, I think there's talent in that room for sure. I think there's potential there, but it's going to take a second to find it. So going back also to the issues we've kind of heard a little bit out of camp is if they're not rushing the passer at an elite level, I want to think Joshua Josephs is going to take a step. I feel a little more confident that he's going to do that than Caleb Herring. But if Caleb Herring does that and we get 2 years of it, that's a huge plus. So he'd be my pick. But like I said, you could pick Jordan Ross, you could pick David Hobbs, you could pick Dominic Bailey, who Rodney Garner said something about this past week as well. So there's a lot of answers to that question, but he'd be mine, Herring.
There you go. What about you, Ryan? You get one.
I'll say Tyree West. I think David Hobbs or Tyree West would be my answer for the pass rush aspect. I think West is a little bit of the best of both worlds with being able to slide inside. If someone's going to replace how Omar Norman Lott could rush the passer on third down situations from the inside, I think Tyree West is probably the most likely. So I'll go with him. I
think I wouldn't sleep on David Hobbs there.
I just don't think he's as much as a pass rush guy. He would have been the next guy that came to mind. So I'm a big David Hobbs guy, but
West would be, and West would be a good. I'm buying a lot of West stock. I think West would have a good final year at Tennessee.
Would you put over under 1.5 defensive lineman breakout? Because I think it's honestly more important that you get 2 or 3 in that room. Me personally.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I mean, obviously you'd love for 5 of them too, but you get what I mean.
I'm gonna say under. Go ahead, Ryan.
It's just a subjective question of what does breakout mean.
Yeah,
they have where it's clear that they're gonna be a first round guy.
They add
first. We're talking first round guy, definitely
first and second round guy. We're talking a
James
a
really high standard. Chase.
I'm saying they have that kind of production, or a Tyler Barron year in 23, where Tyler Barron was a monster.
Well, that's different. Tyler Barron went in the 4th round, so if we're talking top 5 round picks. I think that's a different.
Well, I'm saying he was great in 23. That was a breakout year for Tennessee for Barron. Barron was fantastic off the edge. With him and James Pierce were fantastic playing off one another.
I didn't give any qualifications for that. So in my mind, I had if it's a Leo or defensive end, you add 4 sacks, 5 sacks or so. Because last year, I don't think anybody had over 2 that's returning. So you have that, or if you're a defensive lineman, you take a step up in the run game, or you're slightly better at rushing the quarterback, I guess.
I'm concerned Josephs, Moy, Eason, and Bailey are going to play too much to have 2 guys or more breakout.
I'd say it's just over. I'd go 2. I'd say
Ryan hated that answer so much. Look at Ryan.
I'm just stewing. My mind's just going back to your barometer for breakout being a first round pick, and then you saying Tyler Barron had a breakout season in 2023.
He did have a breakout year in 2023. He looked like he could be a first round pick in that season. Him and Pierce, what if Barron stayed? What if he had one more year of Barron next to Pierce? Where does he go? Does he go higher in the 4th round?
What if he stayed? What if he left me alone from the beginning? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Tyler Barron at Tennessee.
I missed Tyler Barron every week last year. It was just that was another one where Chase was right.
Thank you.
Forget. I was on that one way early. Way early. They tried to moneyball it.
First of all, I don't remember you saying it, and I still think you overblow it massively.
No, Tyler Barron was the elixir that made that all work. You beat Georgia,
Maybe
doubt.
Josh Joseph
Tyler Barron
practicing was the elixir that made all that work. We consider not Josh Joseph, James Pierce. James Pierce practicing. Josh Joseph
17.5 sacks
does
between
all the right things.
17.5 sacks between Pierce and Barron 23. They single-handedly took over the A&M South Carolina games.
I would go more James Pierce single-handedly took over those games, but Tyler Barron was good too.
No, I don't know. Ethan Stone, what can the good folks check out from you in Saturday Down South this week? I don't know what Ryan's doing. Who knows? I don't even know if I'll go to Ryan to have him plug anything. I don't know if he really doesn't deserve anything.
Chase, I've been nice to you. You have given
nice
me...
to you?
Yes, I have been nice to you on this podcast.
Terrified to know what would have been mean based on the last 15
I just let it slide that within 10 minutes of one another, you said, Well, I didn't really completely let it slide, but I didn't go after you for 10 minutes saying Tennessee was going 7-5 and was underrated at number 24. And I'm the bad guy?
You and Grant can talk about it in the group chat tomorrow. Ethan, what can the good folks find from you over at SaturdayDownSouth.com this week?
Yeah, like I said a couple times during the pod, I had a piece come out today, just 5 thoughts on Tennessee, kind of nearing halfway through fall camp here. And then I'll have something else probably at the end of this week and definitely something next week. And then otherwise, we're just getting ready for football season. So got crystal balls for the entire season for Saturday Down South and Saturday Tradition for SEC and Big Ten teams. And then just whatever else is getting up to on the news desk and college football, basketball, and anything else.
I love it. Ryan Schumpert, begrudgingly, what can the good folks check out from you and the team over at RockyTopInsider.com this week?
Yeah, I'll say for Chase's sake, a lot of good stuff from Ryan Sylvia and Rick Butler. Football. And then should have meant to do it at the start, but we got sidetracked into the fun quickly. Happy birthday to my brother Andy. He's big number 30 today. So happy birthday to him.
Never heard from Andy. Grant, we know all about Grant. Shout out to Grant on this very program. Haven't heard of Andy. Is he a listener?
He's not a consistent listener.
Okay.
I do know he has listened before because he has referenced podcasts and stuff that's said on podcasts before. But I don't think Grant's a diehard every week. I don't think Andy's a diehard Chase Thomas podcast listener.
Okay, there you go. Hey, that's 2 of 3, man. Are there any other Schumperts, or is that it?
The brothers, that's it.
Oh, dang. How many siblings do you have, Ryan?
No, well, yeah, I don't have any sisters. So
okay, well then that's the end of the. What do you mean? Why'd you throw out
it could be
sisters
like
you had a
parent.
sister?
I have parents.
Am I crazy for him? Didn't he make it seem like he had for brothers? Like that would imply that there were sisters.
I did think that was the implication as well.
Yeah,
that's fair. I was confused if you meant like, are my parents listening to the podcast? That type of thing. Cousins.
Okay, I doubt the Schumpert parents are locked in here. Probably
I don't think so.
Ethan Stone's, I don't know. We learned about Ethan Stone's wife jumped in here. She got the mic, so she knows there is a podcast happening. She might be locked in more than Ethan thinks.
Yeah, maybe so. I have no idea, truly.
What if later on this week she's just like, I think Chase was right about Tyler Barron. I think it hit the nail on the head. Like, what if it's just casually over dinner? She's like, I just love the Tyler Barron take.
You guys were being so mean to that Chase guy about that 7-5 take. I think he's right.
Hey, Chase could be right.
I'll take that mic away from you guys. I'll take that mic. With great power comes great responsibility. Ethan Stone, Ryan Schumpert, always a pleasure, and I'll talk to you all again next week.
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas Podcast. Hell yeah.